Hello, welcome back to the second part where I talk about the transmission system or the drivetrain that can be found on our Arrow AT1. So different from our Execute series that was a belt-driven and a more traditional setup, the Arrow AT1 features a shaft drive which connects the front and rear for a more direct throttle response. Maybe very good for high grip tracks or stock racing classes. Having said that though, during testing we've been using modified motors strictly to test the gear sets if they're durable enough and they were up to the task, no sweat. So the problem with shaft-driven touring cars is that you can get some torque from the motors and your car will veer left or right depending on how the shaft rotates. To combat this, we've separated the flex of the shaft from the chassis plate by having it mounted independently. So you can see the entire drivetrain is mounted onto one piece of carbon. So what this does is, which allows the drivetrain to flex set independent from the chassis. So this helps with the car to have more forward traction out of corners when applying throttle. And the gear mesh is easily adjusted through two screws through the bottom of the chassis, through these two holes. And the motor mount has a channel which lets it stay in place and does not move during crashes or whatnot. Also to help with this is, instead of just using dog bones, we've used universal setup on this shaft, which allows it to move and flex without. And here are the spools and the gear diffs. So we've used this special material. It's called a self-lubing polymer. So what happens is during running, it'll lubricate itself when it gets worn down. So you don't really have to do much maintenance on the gears. And even when you do, on the spool and on the gear diff, the gear is replaceable through 4 screws. So you don't have to replace the entire diff housing. Onto the front, you can see the gear is replaceable as well, which means a very lightweight spool. And that sums up our drivetrain section of our Arrow AT1. Thanks for watching.